Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I guess by now good evening, ladies and gentlemen of the House. Have the privilege of bringing you Senate Joint Resolution number 14. It comes to us from Senators Holdman, Michael Young, Pete Miller, Ratz, Jay Smith, Bassler, Steele, and Patricia Miller. The House co-sponsors are Representatives Schmaltz, Morrison, and Lehman. And I also want to acknowledge and thank the hard work of the grassroots activists around the state, many of whom are joining us here tonight. And I hope you have had the opportunity over the past several weeks to interface with them and learn more about Senate Joint Resolution number 14. The rationale behind this is Congress will not take action to restrain itself. And James Madison's fear gives reason for having an Article 5 provision for states' actions. Now, before you in SJR 14 are three substantive provisions. The first is to impose fiscal restraint on the federal government. The second is to limit the power and jurisdiction of the federal government. And the third is to impose term limits on federal officials. Now, should time go on and we have second thoughts, we can always withdraw this resolution if at a later date a later legislature determines it's no longer appropriate. And keep in mind, Indiana's pioneering faithful delegate law will make sure that those delegates we send carry out our intention. With that, we had some very interesting and stimulating discussion in the Judiciary Committee with some real experts, and I want to thank Chairman Sturwald and the other members of the committee for their good work on this resolution and would urge your support. And one of the things that I hope is going through your mind right now as you consider your vote is, who do you trust more? The federal government of today or ourselves? And I can tell you who our founders trusted more 200 plus years ago, and that was us. And they were thinking about us before any of us were obviously even born, because they gave us Article 5. But if not, and you take your role here very seriously, as our founders knew that we would, your vote should be yes. Now, a couple of points I do want to touch on, because many members didn't have the benefit of hearing the testimony in the Judiciary Committee. First of all, the subject matter, that this could do away with the Second Amendment or things, these red herrings like that. It's firmly established by law in the courts that any Article 5 convention must be limited to the subject matter of the application, and that was why it's worded the way it is. And if you recall on second reading, my friend Representative Pierce brought an amendment. He is concerned about campaign finance, and I respect him for that. There is actually a group whose focus is campaign finance through Article 5. It's called Wolfpack. They're out there advocating for that. Other colleagues very concerned about the 17th Amendment, and I do believe there's groups advocating that. That's a significance of the specificity of the subject matter. So here, this convention will not get into the Second Amendment or these other things. It will be strictly limited to the subject matter of the call. Secondly, I'd remind you of the ratification requirement. That's 3/4 of our states must ratify any outcome. That's a very high threshold. It should be high, and it's not going to happen easily. So as you consider your vote, think about the founders, George Mason in particular, thinking ahead to us, wondering if what they created was the right thing to do. And just in case it wasn't or needed tweak, they gave us that emergency button in the glass box, and tonight's the night we push it. Thank you.
All the members voted. Tally of the roll. Roll call shows 61 ayes, 36 noes. The resolution is passed.